Well, it is early still. I thought I would do it later, but oh my gosh, it's 4:30. I feel like I've just been up so much during the night. Like last night or this night is so sucky. And it's not, I still is conked out. I have been so uncomfortable. I cannot get comfortable at all. It's so weird. And so, anyways, I feel tired, but I cannot sleep at all. And the moon came through really huge through the window. And I couldn't see through all the trees to see the face or whatever. But that guy tonight, he went out with his fancy camera because he's got all these people saying no or whatever. So he shows this fancy camera. It's not a phone. It's not something he could edit or anything. And not have a filter or whatever. And so he shows it in the bathroom. He walks the whole way. So you're looking at the thing, gets out to the moon and zooms into the moon, and there's the face. And he said it's looking right at you and it's angry. He said there's people thinking like it's a face pressed up against the firmament and all sorts of stuff. I don't know. But I'm telling you, it is looking around, it is making faces. So I don't know. And I'll tell you another thing. Just drama. Just deal with that. I'll tell you another thing is one thing I was so sore is it's so wild is like I exercise all the time every day. But you go out and you start doing real work, like in your yard and stuff, it is so different. Like that is what I learned when I started doing stuff around the house. It was like, fuck, that's the shit you need to be able to do all the time. Doing weird, like all sorts of shit. Being able to pick something up, lift things and stuff. Like, is very different than just going and doing weights and stuff. And so one of the, I think I was even on videoing one of the days when I said, oh, a tree fell or something. And it was a tree, it was a tree that was dead, and it was like the top half of it had gone into two trees. And so right where it had kind of done that, it kind of just broke. The wind just broke it and it fell. So it was huge, huge top of this tree. And so dragging shit around like that. And so I cut that stuff up, the branches and stuff, and used that wood for starting fires. Because, I mean, how ridiculous. I mean, people gather that stuff up, they put it out to get rid of it, and then they go buy those, she's right here, they go buy those starter things. And those are expensive. And so, and then another thing you can make them with is like the toilet paper things or the paper towel things. You put the lint in the dryer. I also put it from when I dump the vacuum. I take all that hair and dirt and stuff and put those in there. And you use those, and those make good fire start. But anyways, I go with more natural stuff. So I go out and cut down all these branches and stack them up and stuff. So anyways, I was out doing that yesterday. And it is so uh it's so creepy sometimes because I think, I mean, I've been outside a lot of times out, not just this house, a lot of times and at different houses. And I will always feel somebody is watching me. There's always someone watching me. And I know I'm not crazy because I'll look up and there'll be somebody just sitting there watching me. So I don't look up now and try and find who's watching me because it creeps me the fuck out. And so I'm out there yesterday doing that, and I'm feeling watched. It's like, I think too, sometimes men don't realize like that lurking kind of thing is, I mean, most women have had some bullshit. And so when men act certain ways, it's like, dude. So I don't know. I was definitely speaking in a lot of telepathy. I was really putting some energy out there, I'll tell you that. And and I just found it just so creepy. I was just so creeped out. And so anyways, I was out there yesterday working in the yard. And so I don't know. if that is, I was just so fucking, oh my gosh, I was really sore. And Stella was like, that's her favorite thing, is when she can guard me. Like she's doing her important work. And she'll, if I go over here, she'll jump up and she'll run over there and she'll look out. And if I go over here, she'll jump up and run over there. And she is jumping up and running so much lately. And she's getting sore, but I think that she's getting stronger and stuff too. I don't know. I think whatever's gonna happen, like, just can't even overthink it anymore. It's like you can't try and know everything, of what is to come. So hopefully, I saw some little dog having like a parade in this town because he had a turned 20, and the mom threw a big old birthday party, and everybody came out, was parading with this little dog. I was like, God, how cool! 20 years. But there's other people that can't even handle a couple. So, everybody's got their own things that they're dealing with, their own life experiences, their own relationships. All these relationships are here to teach us who we are. And there's so much going now with the Nickelodeon thing. That just has opened up. It must have been that so many people's minds were so close, because so many of us were saying stuff and people were like, oh, yeah, right. But now all of a sudden it's like, so whatever it was triggered so many people to really wake up to this, because so many people are just looking into it. And so Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, there's so many more. What is now people talking about Drew Barrymore, people talking about Brooke Shield, talking about, who was that one? All sorts of ones on these shows are speaking out. But all the people now are starting to look at people way different. Like, oh, well, what now? Let's think about Lindsay Lohan. Oh, now let's look at this. Now people are like, oh my God, why didn't we listen to Corey Feldman? Why did we make fun of him? I was like, I was never making fun of him. Like, people really didn't believe him. And then Amanda Bynes, I didn't even know about all that Twitter stuff, that she was saying all that stuff. Like, she was telling so much stuff, and all they did was tell her she was crazy. And they did the same thing to her as they did to Britney. And they did a conservatorship or something on her. So they got control of her money. So, that's why she's out doing nails now, after she had all these hits as a kid. And that is going on right now with Honey Boo Boo. And it's being very public. Because all of this stuff goes together. That's how the universe works. It links everything so that it is a movement. It's an energy that takes effect, and it kind of like slaps everybody awake as it goes. But so Honey Boo Boo, apparently since she was 6 years old, she's been the one supporting her family, and her mom has just totally taken advantage. But her mom, I think, was pretty selfish and ignorant, and I think the mom doesn't get it at all. And even money that Honey Boo Boo one made over off of like Dancing with the Stars. I guess she did other shows and they paid her. And then her mom was supposed to be like in charge of the money. And she was supposed to be putting a certain percent, which is so low ball. They say that the parents only had to put 15% in. And I saw, this was, who was it? Was it the guy who played Uncle Fester? It was somebody, a movie star from a long time ago. And he was the first one who made like a big thing about this, because he had made all this money as a kid and his parents had spent it. So it went through this whole big court thing. So he set like a precedence or something. And because, people just take advantage of kids. And so put him to work, make him work, and then he's got nothing to show for it. And from the time he's so little, that was a little one too. So Honey Boo Boo, she was 6, and the mom was expected, like they're only expected to put 15%. So whatever money is made, they're only expected to put 15%, and the mom couldn't handle that. And the mom built it up over all these years, telling people that she was putting in 80%, and she was just spending it. And then, and even so shady as she had just bought a house with the last bit of Honey's money, and then she ended up selling the house and didn't even give any of the money to her. And Honey didn't have any idea. She thought all of this money was her mom's. She thought it was her mom's money from her making. But then when you see these, because this is all being on their show, somebody's show, because it's all being public. You know, I said there was going to be a lot of public stuff. Oh, and I'm going to share a video in the comments. I'm going to put a link. Because remember how I said that there was going to be miracles? Like, you got to see this video. Like, it's insane. I won't even tell you. But I said there's going to be miracles. And so there already is some. So, anyway, so Honey, she, this whole thing is being on, public. And I said there's going to be some fucking humiliating public things here. Like, fuck, what is her name? Mama June or something. She's been so selfish through the whole thing. Like, when that very first started with that show, I was thought, man, what is up with this lady? And so she's been, you know, and I don't know. She's been her this whole time. And, but, you know, she had like this super selfish side, obviously. Like, there's a lot of stuff that she's got to face. And it's weird, too, is because throughout the thing, you know, you thought like, oh, she's gone a lost weight. She's trying to get healthy. She's trying to have more self-respect and stuff. But she's shady character. And not caring like about her own kids. And so while they're arguing and stuff, things the kids say, it's like, it's so clear, you know, that she's a total narcissist. She only cares about herself. She didn't even think about like her kids or anything. Now, Honey Boo Boo wants to go to college, and she wants money to go to college, and she's got no money. It's like, oh my God, you had this kid exploiting herself and, you know, humiliating herself for, you know, being locked into being Honey Boo Boo. I don't even know the kid's name. I don't even know she has another name. It's like, oh my God. So yeah, I never really was very respectful of Mama June. Like, but now she's really showed her true colors, and now it's all over the place. But that is really showing, you know, there's been so much exploitation of kids in Hollywood. And I've seen other things of like what I was saying. I saw somebody doing this whole breakdown on that show just on the parents. And I said that like there's these parents, they're like social climbers. Some are just ignorant, just like, you know, just like Mama June. They're just a certain personality type. That, you know, well, whatever happens, at least they're going to be famous. At least they'll be rich, you know. And, uh, and who knows, maybe Mama June thinks like, well, Honey Boo Boo can go out and, you know, work it. Now I made her a name, and she can go out and humiliate herself and be, you know, silly as an adult or something. I don't know. I mean, Mama June was, I think, part of their show was just like sitting around farting or something. I'm not sure because I didn't ever watch it, but, you know, the things that people would be saying and stuff. So anyways, you know, that's a whole thing. I said all this stuff was going to keep being, you know, shown, and everything was going to come to the surface. And I just saw this lady, she was talking about her dream, and she was talking about like God speaks to her through her dreams and stuff like that. Like lots of people have their own communication with their God, and so they understand their communication. And she was talking about her dream, and she was saying that it goes completely dark, and that there's these beings around. And she said it kind of like seemed like it was representing this like dark energy. But if you got near the darkness, it could take you over. And so she was saying, because then she had these other parts where she went to this house in the light, and it was showing things. So there seemed like a lot of metaphor, because that's what the things are with dreams. There's a lot of metaphor. and it's a communication. It's trying to show you something. And you got to remember too, is everybody's different dreams. They can be being shown something that's going to happen to them. That doesn't mean it's going to happen to all of us. Like, everybody, I think there's going to be a lot of different experiences where I mean, these are all, we're in different realities based on our vibration. So, and everything that is happening is so people will wake up and reconnect to themselves so that they can remember who they are and what they are, because, you know, they've kept people in limitation. And what was that? It seemed like there were so many things. And then I starts getting, I feel very, I don't know, discombobulated or something. I definitely feel so strange. I'll be so glad when this energy just, it just seems like, I'll be so glad when it flips, man. It just seems so close. And that's what everything to me, like these lights, like in the lights going out, like if the lights go out, that is to create attention, because the lights are going to come on. And so it's all about the lights coming on. It's all about every person's lights coming on so that they can remember who they are. But there won't be like, some of the people can't remember. And then some, it's going to be a process too. Because, man, I'll have certain people like come into my mind and I'll be like, man, I don't know. Like the people on religion, is going to be hard. Oh yeah, and on medical, like there's a whole thing, and I said this was going to be happening, and there's a whole thing on medical now. They've got a stranglehold on certain people. And you got to remember too. Now my stomach's growling like crazy. You got to remember too that there's all these martyrs. There's all these roles being played by martyrs, that are a martyr kind of role, so that it brings something to the surface in a big hard way, and so that it affects a lot of people. It has a large wave. It is a big event, and so it creates a big wave. And so, like this guy in particular, he's got some kind of intestinal disease, and he's got to have this medication or he'll die within like a couple months. And I don't know how often he's got to take the medication, but he's been trying to get it, like it's time for him to take his medication. And he pays extra. He pays $500 a month to have this good insurance. And his medication, of course, is $3,000. It costs him like 2 cents to make it, but it's $3,000. Oh my God, my stomach. Is the parasites? I don't know. It feels like I'm starving. So he's got to pay $3,000, and so his insurance company, of course, puts on the brake. Well, you know, we've got hoops to jump through. We're not going to just give you this medicine. And and he is, you know, now he's been a month waiting for it, and he's panicking. His parents have been calling the insurance company crying. He said they've had to sink to such low behavior to try and get them to do something. And now he's on TikTok trying to speak out to try and get some attention on the situation, because they are killing people because they're not giving them these life-saving medications. They're doing this like all over in Canada too. That is the whole thing came to the surface about social medicine, is because look at the control they have. They can say what you need, what you don't need. They can drive up the prices. And this is a thing that people don't understand too about the housing market and all of the different things. And it keeps coming out in all of these class action suits, is the stranglehold that they put on the of like what we can get. That was the whole corporate move. Like I had said, all from the beginning of you know, the beginning of our time, where people started, you know, having little stores, little shops, and trying to you know, offer services and do things, and all the different things that people would do. A corporation would, you know, slide in and save the day, but with investments. But really they were taking on control. They've been taking control the whole time. So then, and I could see it coming. It's so weird how I could see this shit coming when I was a kid. Well, I mean, it's not that weird because I had these people talking to me and pointing things out. So, it's not like I'm a genius or anything. I had people who were telling me this stuff, but it's just so weird when you see, because then you see like, oh my gosh, yeah, I could see it coming. Like I could see it. And so they took control over the market. They could do whatever they wanted with prices. Something that used to cost 10 cents was suddenly costing $5 because they started taking control and then telling us. I was thinking about this yesterday, well, on one of our walks, and I was thinking, I don't remember why. I was thinking something about resources, and I was thinking about stuff like, the prices, stuff doesn't change. They change the prices. There's no reason. Like, why would it cost more? Like, when a tree, like, what is the big driving price? It's them saying, it's always them who are driving all of the prices. And that's why in all these class action suits, they keep losing because it's against our rights. And so and that's already going. That's already going. It's just is that this is like on the underneath, the part where people aren't paying attention. Think of it like of an ocean. And in the water, you've got all of these people bobbing up and down and just playing around. They're not being affected by what is really happening underneath. And everything is micro macro, because that is so true, is what is really going on in the oceans right now. It's like there's so much going on, but people are not paying attention because they just keep their minds in this artificial distracted mode. It's like everybody has put their cars in neutral and just sit there gunning them all day long. But so the but the current is changing. We're in a time of change, and keep thinking micro macro, because this is the current is changing. And so the people who are up here bobbing up and down, not paying any attention, don't see what's coming. But there's already all this storm of ruin because we already have all this happening. There's already court. There's already cases that are going there. I just saw another thing with a Nassar Gassara thing. Like this XRP thing has, like, if you pay attention with the XRP and the Bitcoin, I think the Bitcoin's going down. I think it's going flat because of the energy. It was created and used for a lot of dark stuff. That's what it was done. And so that, if people who are invested in that, they think they're going to get real rich, I think it's going to go way down. And it's probably because the energy that they're putting into is, worshiping money or sneaky, or there's something that when it crashes, it's something that they've got to go through to feel. So, there's going to be some people who are going to lose some shit. A lot of people are going to lose some shit. People are going to lose retirement. People are going to lose, like, people think they've got all this money invested in their houses. It's like your house is not worth anything different than it was. That's the fucking games they play for inflation. They're selling these houses, so they got to drive up the prices. So they're going to say all our houses are worth more, but then they'll go build a different neighborhood. They'll stop putting money into this one. This one will go to shit, and all the houses will go down. It's a game that they play. This is how they do it. And they drive up the prices of the supplies so they could drive up the prices of the houses. It's all this inflation that is created by them, and we suffer the consequences. And somebody did some meme thing on a cart, a grocery cart, and said this is the most expensive thing you can drive right now. And because they've driven up the price of food so much. And I'm going to try and go like take 40 or 50 bucks tomorrow when I go get my mammogram and get a couple things while I'm in town. And it's so intense right now, I swear to God. With all the stuff that people keep saying and all of the things going on with the leading up into this eclipse thing. Because the eclipse, the sun and moon aren't near each other. And so they must know that. There's all this stuff that keeps being about Nibiru, like there's a lot of pictures and stuff. There's all sorts of pictures of people getting 2 moons together, 2 suns together, all sorts of stuff. And so there's something going on, and that could be, and there's these big solar flares. Like we've got these big solar flares. So and those can put out the power and stuff. So they could be trying to create a cover story because there's going to be, and they know, they had Looking Glass. They know that there's something coming. And so, but the thing coming has to happen because that is going to be that moment of dark. And there's so much, look at how much fear is built up into this. Like there's so many people who are so scared going into this and so on the edge of their seat. And everything that is, you got to think about, like, is that fear. You get so scared that you have to acknowledge God. You have to go somewhere else. You can't just run around and pretend like, you're just uh, chasing something all the time. You have to stop. And then it's like you and yourself and in fear. And you've got to come at it. And so that is like a huge release. That if the power goes down like that, it's going to be a huge release it's going to be super scary, but it's going to be a huge release for the energy because it's going to change a lot of people's, so God going to give their soul time to really unite with them. And so there'll be a lot of big changes that will happen from the dark thing. And that could be then after that is when the money crash is like, there's no telling how this is all going to go down. There's some kind of thing that's going to go down. I just know that whatever is going to go down is for this big change. And that's when the money, government, medical, everything is just going to be crash, 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 crash. And like I said, it's already going in the cases and the courts and stuff. Like there's so much stuff. And I got another weird thing in the mail. Maybe it was yesterday or the day before. I don't know. It was the past couple days. Maybe I just forgot to say, or maybe this is the first, maybe, I don't know. So anyways, it is some kind of legal thing again. And it is saying like they're pulling it out. Capital One. I don't know. I'm trying to not give any of their judicial bullshit any kind of energy. But I was like, man, I don't even know what the hell this is saying. So I would think, they should be backpedaling because they're going against human rights. And, we have the right. Like, this is where you got to think how wacky it is. You've got squatters killing people, and the squatters have all the rights. But then they're going to come in and tell me that I don't have any right. I've done all this work. No, then you count me as a squatter. And I was even thinking that, when that people had showed up, and I said that I wasn't Kelly. And then I was like, I could keep saying whoever the fuck, it's none of your business. It's none of your business. They can't fingerprint me or something. They can't prove who I am. I keep saying, no, I'm a squatter. No, Kelly left here a long time ago. This house has been empty for a long time. I've been living here. And, there's nothing even if they say, well, you go through her emails and stuff. Well, whatever. Like, I just have to come up with another crazy story. Doesn't matter. But I feel like they cannot prove anything. They can't, and squatters have all these rights. So anyways, there's all that stuff coming to the service. And then remember I had said that, is really, I was noticing people were being killed on social media. Like people were being killed online and being shown. Like people were getting these videos, like where it was quite clear that somebody was dying and they're putting all these videos on. And I was like, man, this is fucked. It's like, I don't want to see this. And so now it's got way worse because this one, I guess, and I think it went on Twitter first. I'm not even sure where it went first. This guy was live. I think he was Facebook Live when he did it. And his girlfriend or his wife cheated on him. So he shoves her out the window of a 23rd story floor. And the whole thing is shown. It shows her, you hear her screaming. People are saying, who have seen it, saying, don't go see it, don't watch it. It is so disturbing. Because you see him push her out the window. And he's doing all this on purpose, like for his show or something. And or I'm not even sure, because I know that there was a couple of people who did it live on their show, just killed some people. That had just happened. I don't know if this is one and now there's footage. I don't know if it's another one. Man, I said there was going to be some fucking wacky shit. And so, so you hear her screaming, and then the splat. They said the splat is just horrible. And I guess blood just splats out everywhere. And so it's a big freaking mess. And they said that they're saying that she landed on the 7th floor, that she didn't hit all the way to the ground, but that the 7th floor was a pool, but the pool seems to be empty. She doesn't go into water. She goes and hits where you see blood go everywhere. So unless the pool was crystal clean and somehow the blood's like, I don't know, from the video, that's what the people are saying. I don't want to see the video, but the people are saying now it's everywhere. It is everywhere. And people are like, how is this even allowed? Why are these videos not being taken down? And that's the thing, is see that they push that stuff through. They take down people like me who are sitting there trying to talk common sense, trying to talk about independence, trying to talk about freedom, sovereignty. They take us down because they want to promote this other. But that is it's the darkness, the hostility of our planet it's being exposed. It's leaving. It's, coming to the surface. And I think the metaphor too with the darkness is, as all this stuff is going down, there's a lot of darkness around us. And, just like that guy, he chose darkness. There's darkness all around us. And you can make a choice. It would take you over. And like that guy could have had that dark energy. Yeah, push her. Fuck that bitch. And he listened to that. And you have both inside of you. You have a voice of reason inside of you. But your emotions and stuff get so jacked up, you don't hear it. Like I've said, you have to get through the loudness. You have to get through the party to get to the back of the room. That is where the peace is. And you've got to go through an emotional battle in order to get back there, where you get to the peace, where there's the calming, where it's like, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. You are learning from all these things. The more that you can start understanding that all the traumas, like that guy, well, now he's going to have a different thing. Now his learning to be about going to jail and stuff. It could have been, though, about heartbreak and learning how to get over it. And there's a lot of things you learn from heartbreak. Heartbreak is a very hard, challenging thing to get over. And so you learn a lot of lessons. It grows you as a person, or it stagnates you. It holds you back. It keeps you trapped. Or it creates an overactive. And that is, too, where anger gets out of control, like where people don't have control of their anger. There's all these emotions, see, that you got to get control over, because when they're out of control, then they, are easily led by dark energy, and you just, make a impulsive choice to end somebody's life in an emotional state. And, and I like I had said, like, your souls have been doing this just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for eons. They just constantly, or, kill each other back and forth. They just, and I don't know, it seems like it's like a pain. It's like like a soul, you can recognize, like, this person brings me pain. This person brings me pain. And you don't know, how deep the soul connection really is, and how deep the pain really is, and the battles that you and the soul go through of learning and trying to grow. Because people come in to teach you hard shit. They're not coming in to teach you easy stuff. It's just that people get so mad at the other people because they forget it's your lesson. You're the one who came up with this. You're the one who wants to grow past this. You're the one who wants to get over it. And so when somebody challenges you, it is the whatever the thing is they're challenging, patience, anger, selfishness, whatever it is to challenge you so that you can yourself go and grow past that. So you can figure out how to do better. And so you are always being challenged by you. It's not these other people. But anyways, there's just, I don't know, something happens in the game or something, and the people just go back and forth killing each other all the time. And you're, to me, I'm seeing it play out like right now, like, oh, these souls just they just go straight to just fucking kill you. And I don't know if they carry, like, maybe when they go out of the game, like, I don't know all the players. Like, I mean, you got a lot of different people saying a lot of different stuff. Maybe there is people who are kind of trapped here because they don't know how to get out and they don't know how to raise their vibration, and they do come back really fast, and they have a lot of dark energy that's really attached to them, and they don't know how to really get the dark energy off, and the dark energy just rides them like a fucking just rides them through their experience. And then it's so much a part of people's inner dialogue that they can't tell the difference in themselves and the voices from outside of themselves. And that is important. Like, I personally, I don't think that we have a whole lot of thoughts that are just our thoughts. To me, when I kind of break it down, it seems like if you go into like a repetitive state, I kind of like think of it like spinning out, where you just keep thinking about something, thinking about something, thinking about something. I think that's your thoughts. You're just whipping them around, whipping them around. You're trying to look at them, think about them, look at them, look at them, replay, 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 replay. That is you. That's you. It is when other things come in. Like, a lot of people will be like, I have intrusive thoughts. Yeah, okay, that's it right there. The intrusive thoughts, that's not you. It's not you creating intrusive thoughts. It's not your brain creating intrusive thoughts. You are tapped in to an energy. You have an energetic field around you that is feeding you information, and it is full of when you get a lot of those messages, then you can see like, okay, well, I've got a toxic energy around me. I've got a low vibration. And we all have had it. We've all had low vibration times in our life. We've all had hard times in our life. We've all attracted dark energy. And so it's up to us to recognize it and get rid of it, push it away, push it out. And so you got to figure out how to raise your vibration when you're getting a lot of intrusive thoughts. You're getting a lot of dark energy in there telling you bullshit and telling you anything like that. Anything about hurting another person, hurting another living being, anything about that, that's dark energy. They love that shit. They love pain. They love suffering. And that's why they keep people in a place of pain and suffering. They'll keep pushing you and beating you down. And then you got your ego out there trying to protect you. So it is rides along with the whole thing. It goes along like, yeah, see, it's not safe. You need to stay here. You need to stay away from all these people. It's like that is going to keep you stagnant. That's going to keep you in a state of residual is what I'm hearing. But a state of, smallness. You're not your fullness. If you how are you your fullness if you can't handle a challenge, especially a challenge where you think this person's an asshole anyways. And so why their challenges should be pretty easy. It should be like, well, they're a fucking asshole, so we know that they're going to say some shit. So don't get caught up in feeling like, well, see, they're saying that, so that's what they think of me. That's what they think of the world. That's what they think of themselves. That's their problem. It's not your problem. You got to not take on other people's problems, and then it won't make you so angry and feel like you got to separate yourself from people. when you can stay isolated in your own self-identity and not be absorbed in how other people look at you, and recognize and realize that they're looking at you through their own view, their own damage. They've got their own issues. You can't worry about what other people are looking at you as, because they've got their own issues and they're trying to formulate their own understanding. So they're trying to, understand themselves and compare and, figure shit out into the world. And it was funny because Crystal, she's also tall when she was young, and she was saying something, and it was kind of like, I felt like we were kind of like comparing, like, how bad it was, like. But I think that is what, we all have to face, is we've had some periods of time where we were completely awkward, where we felt completely out of place. We felt like we were weird, odd man out. We've all had these kinds of things. And so it's just as funny as, like, because you can keep adding on more. Well, you know what else I had? You know what else I had? I guess we've all had like a huge amount of stuff. And, and it is valuable to face it, to really see, like, geez, I was really struggling as a kid. I was really struggling in my 20s. I was really, struggling with trying to figure out who I was. I was hyper focused on every put down that somebody said, oh, your legs are too long. You're too much of a stick person, all of those kinds of things, where you start feeling like you're some sort of fucking, shapeshifter freak looking thing walking around. And then I had that head that was too big for my body. Like, I was just like, not a head too big for my body, but my cheeks. And there would be people who would say stuff. And it's weird too, is how often, I thought about this too, is how often people would say stuff to me. Like, people, and I was thinking about this too, because I was thinking, I bet you that there was a lot of girls who were more like envious of what I looked like, and that they were more like, so they wanted to ridicule me and put me down. And then I would feel bad, I'd feel like something, not, because I already had that in me. So anything that somebody said, I was automatically constantly thinking, something's wrong with me, something's wrong with me. I'm not attractive enough. I'm weird looking. I'm strange. I'm weird. I talk about weird shit. I do weird stuff. I listen to voices that nobody hears. Like, there's all sorts of things that make me feel weird. I always felt like people were going to know my house was weird. People were going to know that my dad was weird. People were going to know that, and another thing too is I really was thinking about with my mom, is I was thinking, I think that she has a part that she just needs to face, that all the problems weren't just my dad. I messaged her yesterday because I was in there, I was making tortillas, and all of a sudden I got this flash of when I was a teenager, and my dad moved this lady into the house and said, we have a cook now. And she's a little Mexican lady. She couldn't speak English, and she was our cook. And she would cook, authentic Mexican food. And but it seemed like I was really short. So I messaged my mom and I said, I think something happened to that cook lady. I think Dad did something to that lady. And, and she took off real quick. Do you have any idea what happened? And my mom's like, oh, I can't even really barely remember that. But I think that lady had a kid with her. I think she had a teenage daughter. I was like, oh my God. That is definitely, he probably even found them somewhere and offered them a place because he wanted that little girl. Like, oh my God. And I said, well, Dad was a predator. And she was like, he, assaulted her little sister who was babysitting. So she and my dad had gone someplace and was being babysat. Me and my brother were being babysat by her sister, who was only 13 at the time. And then he went to go take the babysitter home, I guess, and assaulted her. And then my mom was like, now I'm looking differently at my own size. Like, because my mom was very, uh, she was very prepubescent looking. She didn't have any shape. And that's where I had gotten it from. But I was way taller. And then my mom had a way of just like, she was rough, man. She was rough. She really, she would do things like, uh, tell me that, your waist had to be, you had to be able to touch your fingers around your waist and stuff. And it was just a lot of things that was like, and I was not her size, I was much taller than her. And so, but it stressed me the fuck out. Like, you wouldn't believe, like, it definitely caused me more body dysmorphia. There was a lot of things where I was like, fuck. I was in a brain fucking tornado of self-identity for fucking decades. And, but so she was like, well, now I'm looking at it as like differently. I think he was a predator when he was coming on to me because she was 16, don't forget. And he was 20 and he was hanging out at the high school and she probably looked like she was like 13. And so I think he had a thing for, I don't know, because there was, I came home one time and I was a teenager and my stepmom was losing her mind. And this was common too. And these two little kids were sitting, this was like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. And apparently she caught him doing something like, yeah, I don't, my dad had a sickness. I mean, he had a sickness for sure, like, but it's kind of prevalent in our society. It's kind of prevalent in this dark world. It's kind of like, there's like a lot of, because don't forget, all of our souls came here to work this stuff out, to see, where does this darkness come from? And I don't know, I didn't play that role. So anyways, the universe gets to see all that stuff. I played a different role. So, but in the, in the sickness, we had this conversation, and my mom had said something, and I was just like, Dad was a predator. And I don't know, I always hear things, like I hear other conversations, like I hear things, like I'm always shown things and I see things, I see more, like, it's like like a few years ago, I had picked up on, like, I can hear an unspoken, I can hear the unspoken, I can hear, it's like telepathy. And people don't realize, I think, sometimes that they are pushing out thoughts. And I think, that's how, you can pick up on somebody who's watching you. And so so she was talking about, it's weird to say, like, watching you, because here I am doing this public thing. It's different when you are doing something private and you feel like somebody's spying on you. I don't know, it feels, but I can hear things and I send messages back. But when I was talking to my mom, I could hear this, or I was shown or something, and I was like, it's easy to, as one of the parents, because this is the thing, is like, all of us, we can't scapegoat the one parent. You can't just think like, oh, see, that was the problem, that was the whole problem. No, you got to face your own stuff. You got to face your darkness. There's a reason why you're with this person. There's a reason you had things you were learning. You had things that were playing out too. You can't just think like, oh, well, I'm hands dry. I'm good. That person, and it's just important, especially like right now. And it's real easy to distract yourself from the triggers, to just, slide them off, be like, no, I'm not going to pay attention to that, or focus on somebody else's. But that's the dark energy that I think wants to keep people trapped in limitation. Because, yeah, as long as you think it's this other person's fault, everything would have been cool. Because, no, there was a lot of issues that my mom had. My mom was very much not present. She was angry. She was bitter. She was, she was not a safe place at all. And so, and I don't know, all of her things. All I know is that I was in that house, and I grew up in that house. And, she has kids that aren't close to her now. And, she's got to, see her side of things, in order to really heal and grow. But that's why I said too, is like a lot of people like use religion and different things is to kind of like, well, I'm forgiven. God forgave me, so I don't need to replay anything that's painful. I don't need to think about that. I don't need to face any of that stuff because it's hard and it's painful. But that is the evolution. That is your ascension. That is you facing yourself. That is important. And I mean, you can't get out of this part of the game without doing it. I don't think. Well, you got all these people that think like, the planet's just doing it for you. I don't agree. And I don't think that you can, it's like if this, this game, this hologram game that we come in here to play, to learn and grow from, it's like that is where you stay trapped. You can't go out of it. Like you can go out of the game, you can leave, you can go home, wherever your home is. But if you want to go back into the game, you can't just go out and go into Age of Aquarius and go. No, you have to work your way out of the game. You have to ascend. You have to learn. You have to grow. And you have to, and it is so important is to connect into yourself, because you have a higher self that knows all this shit. And they use religion and all these different things to block you off. Like, you got to connect to your higher self. You got to connect to yourself. You got to face the demons and empty out. Like, it's like open up the closet and let out all of the fucking demons and deal with them. So that is how you lighten your load. That is how you do your spring cleaning. You jump forward, you spring forward, because you clean out all of the darkness that holds you back. And so, yeah, don't get caught up in thinking, well, like if you can, like if, a lot of us, like I for sure, in my house, I mean, that was very toxic. My kids grew up in a very toxic house. And so, and I can't just say, oh, well, it was him. It was his fault. He was the one who was toxic. No, I put up with so much shit, and that is my own stuff. That is my own, we're all learning things. In those relationships, those things are there to teach us, to help us, to grow, to learn. And all of the kids that come into the experience, they're coming in for that experience because it's going to trigger things that they have to work on, to grow and to learn. So they're going to go through that experience because it's going to bring up stuff. But we just, people just get all messed up on the stuff that it brings up. They don't realize, like, that's the gain, that's the benefit, that's what you want. You want this stuff to come up. You want to heal. You want to, it's not about making you angry. It's about you seeing your anger so that you can learn how to control it, so you can work through it, so you can see what's up with it. Like all of the different things that gets triggered in you, promoted or grow, like when something happens, the thing that happens, the reaction in you, that is what you want to go deeper into. That is what you're trying to heal. That's what you're trying to grow out of. You're trying to, make changes, do something different. And so those things are there for you to do that. But everybody has the opposite reaction because we are in the upside down. But that is going to be the thing. When the lights come back on, see, it's going to be right side up. It's going to be like people are open, people are seeing. But I just think that the religion is going to have the hardest time because they are so, they've got them really closed in. Like they told them, like they're doing all this stuff with this, the revelations and stuff. Like I think that they're creating a narrative to create like a panic and to get people hyper focused. Like people are becoming so super hyper focused on like last night, like I was up a lot and so I was going on TikTok, I'm looking on TikTok, and there was two different girls live. One of them had her kid come out and start climbing on her. And the other one, and then I think I saw her a couple times, like when I was going, and then another one too, in prayer, like, in the Holy Spirit, we've got the, like people are panicking. People are panicking. And like they've got people really built up on this in the religion stuff. Like, and it's so wild too. Is like, why do they not see themselves as eternal? Like, why is not religion getting you to see yourself as eternal? Why are you fearing death? Death isn't real. And I don't know. Or just so, all this stuff is to show people, to get people to think, to get people to see. Everything is like, it's like uh okay, so like all the people's eyes are opening, so everybody's eyes are opening, but it's like in the micro macro, it's like the things are opening, like all these things are opening up for you to see. So it's like the eyes are opening of the world, like the mistreatment of kids, the corruption in Hollywood. Like I knew, I was said that there's so many of these people. They go to these open calls and stuff. They take their kids, and some of them are like fucking June Mama June or whatever. And just think like, well, I can make money. I can buy a new house. I can get this. I can get that. Just making money off their kids. I mean, you got fucking people who are exploiting the shit out of their kids on social media, that are purposely having their kids do, things that they know that the pervs will tune into. And then they get all these like Amazon gift shop, and they get these people to buy presents. And I don't know, it's weird, it's warped. And you know what, like David Wilcock was on yesterday for a while, and that was another one that was like, oh my gosh, that was the third time that I've tried to watch, and I just can't anymore. I just can't. There's something, I don't know. For one thing, he wants to really push hard on that he's Edgar Casey reincarnated. It's like, dude, who cares? Like, you're not Edgar Casey. What relevance does it have? You're not Edgar Casey in this life. So if you were Edgar Casey in another life, like, what do you, it's like this name dropping. But all of a sudden, when he started with his channeling, he's always channeling, name dropping, because he's channeling Archangel Michael, and he's Edgar Casey, and he, he needs money, and just money, 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 money. And every single time somebody would say something to him, he would just become super defensive. I was like, dude, you are not working on yourself. You are not, I don't know. There's just, to me, he was like a certain energy that was there for a lot of us who were like, we knew something was up. We knew there was alien, like we knew. And there was luckily people like him who were out there, who were willing to be made fun of. And, it's weird, because you would think like, how did he get such a big ego? But supposedly Edgar Casey had a big ego. So, he probably just came into the show with it. But you can't just keep on worrying about like who you were. Like, what does it matter? Like, it's fun for you. Yeah, you can go and be like, oh, I remember when I was doing this. I remember when I was saying this. And, he's like showing their pictures together. Like, he's trying to convince us. It's like, what? So that we'll all just hang on your every word? Because when we tap into our own selves, like, you're doing a lot of stuff. Like, you need to do some healing. Like, Edgar's here for a reason. It's to heal. It's not to tell us whatever it is you're trying to tell us. It's like, but it's like he had his time, and his time was so valuable. But it's like he wants to keep making his time the most relevant. And it's like, dude, things are moving. Now we're moving into healing. We're moving into, an extraordinary time of evolution. Like, and disconnecting from the 3D. And he's so much about the 3D. So many of the things he was saying, I was like, dude, this is like, you got to be moving your mind out of this three-dimensional concept, like of thinking you need money, and him every single time, somebody's going by, oh, here's another $11 there, here's $2, here's $100, here's this, here's that. And then start having discussions, like where apparently they're discussing the $100. Well, it's coming from Canada, so it's really not $100. And he just would keep going into these things where I was like, oh my gosh, this is showing this other side of him. See, because everybody is showing these sides of themselves. And so, yeah, he's showing a side of himself. It's like, dude, and I don't know, he could have kept, it seemed like he was getting a lot of snarky comments in the thing, and he just becomes defensive. But see, that's when you are in your time alone, because now, he's alone in bankrupt, he said. And so when he goes to bed at night, and he's not being able to sleep, and so when he goes, any time of reflection or quiet time, your guides or your higher self or the dark energy is going to come in and communicate. They're going to start saying shit. And so him having, if there were snarky comments, especially, he's that overthinker for sure. And so he would keep thinking about that, and his ego's overreacting and stuff. But that is where you got to get into the healing. He's got to face this side of himself. He was shallow, three-dimensional. Like, he was very, progressive in one area. He was bringing us forward in a certain area, but spiritually, he's practically as bankrupt as the rest of them. He wasn't spiritually growing. And to me, the spiritual, like the alien, my connection to the aliens, and I'll remind again, because I know people are coming in and watching videos who have not seen me, don't know my history, don't know what I talk about or anything, and they come in and watch one video. And so anyways, but when I was a little kid, so I was 3 years old, and we went over to my grandpa's house. I was with my mom, my dad, and my little brother. He was 18 months old. And I was 3, and so my mom was like 19. My dad was like 23. And so went over to see my mom's dad and his wife. My dad, and I didn't know them so much. I have like, there's a whole thing about that grandpa too. And he was rich, womanizer. He was the one who was super good looking, and he was a womanizing pig. And he lived to be like 99. He was rich as fuck. He was an old farmer. So anyways, because there was a whole thing where farmers got rich there for a while over land. There was a lot of land that they had. Then once they started jacking up the prices, it was all so they could get the land. But the farmers were like, hell yeah. And so everybody bought in to this corporate takeover. So it went on for a long time. And so anyways, I went, my little brother was sitting there, and they decided he wanted a drink of water. I have no idea why, but they told me I had to go get those drink of water for him. And I was pissed. I remember so clearly. I can see this so clearly. And I was 3, and I know I was 3 because I talked to my mom about it. And I was so pissed that they were sending me to go get it. And they told me to go down to the bathroom downstairs. And there was some little Dixie cups in there. Back when we used to have those little cups. There were little paper cups in the bathrooms. And so I went in and got one of those little cups and got the water. And there was a bar of soap sitting there. And so I was like, well, I'm going to put soap in the water. I'll teach him, make me go get your water. And so this is the life of a oldest child. And so I got the soap, and I started to put it in there. And it was like the voice of God came so loud and clear across my mind. And started telling me I was going to get in trouble. And so I started talking back to him. It was like, and then so I had this where I thought it was the angel, and because my mom was real religious, so I thought it was the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder, and they were arguing back and forth, and I was just there listening. Like, I was listening to them argue over, if I should do it or shouldn't do it. And so I did it. I ended up doing it. I put the soap in the water, and I went and took the cup, and I gave it to him. And he took a drink and started, I think, threw it and started crying. I got in big trouble. And as soon as I start getting yelled at, I can see myself standing over and looking up because they were talking to me, and they start telling me like, we told you you were going to get in trouble. We told you this was going to happen and stuff. And this is what has been like my training throughout my whole life. Like I said, there's constantly been like, oh, well, we just told you that, didn't we? Oh, weren't you just doing that? Well, were you paying attention? We were talking to you. So that's what mine's like. Like when I'm saying they're always fucking talking, I'm not fucking around. Like I'm not kidding. Like, so I went, and they were telling me that. Well, ever since then, they've always been talking to me. They've always been telling me stuff. They were telling me stuff about like religion. They were telling me stuff about God. They were telling me all this stuff. And I knew them as aliens is the only thing. I always just knew that that it had to be aliens. And I didn't think of it as being angels or something. But that's where I started seeing that what we think of as angels and stuff are aliens, and what we think of as being aliens, but really it's all these just different dimensional beings that depends on their frequency and vibration of what realms and what areas they can move through. We are in a dark, deep realm, that light beings that are of a higher frequency, so they're and we're like and they're so it's not, they can't just come down here and be that. That's like why we see them as just like light and movement. And but then if we go into their frequency, then we see them and they look like well, they look different. Like some of them look like blue people, some of them look like lions, some look like Palladians. Those ones are lighter in this. So those ones have been thought of as being angels a lot of times because they are a higher vibration and they move way faster and they do care. They are always trying to help. There's lots of beings though that try and help. But anyways, that is where there's all these different beings and frequencies and stuff. And so I always had an awareness, like, and I was always being pushed onto the spiritual journey. Like I've been on this spiritual journey well, to me, my whole life, because I was, being guided. But, when I left the church, when I told my mom, like, no, I don't believe in that God. And that was huge. And then there's people doing it right now, and they know how huge it is. When you go against, because then all of a sudden it's like, no, you're worshiping the devil. You don't even know God. Like it's a whole thing. And then they had it in our society where everywhere you go, you were supposed to say if you were a Christian or a Catholic. And it was like, fuck, man. And when you would say, well, I'm not either of those, then it was like, well, what the hell are you? Are you a devil worshiper? What are you? And that's why, luckily, when they started putting Buddhist on there, I started being like, well, I'm Buddhist. Because, Buddhism believed in reincarnation, and I believed in reincarnation. I knew that we came back over and over and over and over and over. I thought it was absurd that people thought like you're just born once and then you spend your whole time trying to please God to get into heaven. Like all this stuff that I would hear people say. But I always had these beings that were telling me. And so that is what gave me, like, to me, it all went together. The aliens, the dimensional, like I had an understanding of Bigfoot, of ghosts, of big fat booties moving my thing. Miss Booty Girl. And so, just move over here, it's easier. Moving her big booty. So, anyways, and then I'll probably be going anyways. I was trying to think, like, if there was some other stuff, because it seemed like there was a bunch of stuff that I was going to talk about. It seems like there's so much just focus of the kids stuff. And so many people talking about this Riley kid was drugged. And so I think that's the part, like, why are all these people being drugged? Why are all these, what's going on? That's where it's going to lead to the harvest, is because, yeah, they're being drugged so that they can, get their parts out easy. And some people just probably disappear, and some people, I thought it was weird that those ladies who all went to Turkey and got that surgery, And 4 women went there and got breast implants or breast surgery. I think someone might have got an explant. I don't remember. I just can't wait for mine. No, tomorrow's my mammogram, and then the next week I'll make another payment. Then I only have 1 payment left. I feel like, oh my gosh, it's just like so close, but it's like weeks away. So, and then we got all this shit to go through, all this shit to go down. And the one woman who had the dream, that's what it was. She was saying that about in the dream that they were saying that to have a bunch of cash. And so she said, but it's weird is because so she was out and she was running out of gas. So she went to 2 different gas stations. Neither of them would take any cards. No Apple, no cards, nothing. She had to get cash. And so she was like, what the fuck? And then she went to the grocery store. They wouldn't let her pay with anything but cash. And she said, you guys better start listening to what I'm saying. And so, so this stuff is all going to go down. But, you know, the cash thing is to get rid of it. What was that? Because it was that XRP thing where somebody was talking about that this is already going. It was another thing where they said, oh, look, this is already going. This is a good sign. So all the signs are there. Like this is really going to happen. We really are going to change out of this current state of affairs where the currency is what it is. Probably will go more into like, it wouldn't be mineral salts because resources are going to be abundant. We're going to find out like there was just an abundancy of resources. There was nothing that we had to fear. The fear was created and it was created to get you to go against other people, to think there's not enough. So, you know, these people are going to take from me. I've got to get rid of these people. And then they're creating so much of that. And they're always going against the darker people. And it's like, that is so true. They are so against the darker people. And there's so much stuff coming out about that. There's so much coming out about, what was it? Cherokee, Chinese, and Black. And I said there's something that goes back to this Mongoloid tribe, which I think is all of that together, all those different aspects. And then I think that those went out and, you know, got bred down into becoming separated. So then it became like there was Chinese people, there was Black people, and there was whatever the other one. But I think that there was a tribe that was all of that at one time, that they all look like that. Is the Mongoloid people, like back from Mongolia, which I think is kind of like the Tartaria, is that they looked kind of like Black, Chinese, Indian people. Like that's where all those different Cherokee, that's what it was. That's where all these different characters has come from, is like these certain groups. And then this was a video I had seen too. And there was like this certain tribe, and which I think, I don't know, there could be something that goes further back than the Mongoloid people, but I think it's this group that came from the original being, whatever it was, whatever creature that they decided to do all this DNA to create humans. And that I think that was like the Mongoloid was the extension of that. Like, I don't know when it very first started, but I think that they are the truest of the people, is how I keep seeing it, but I don't know for sure. But then all these different groups came from that. But but then there was a whole thing with all of these. It's kind of like they had that group. So they had their created group, but then they had all these different beings. And so it was like 12 or 13 different groups. And so they took their DNA and started mixing it in. That's why we all have like a huge amount of like this different DNAs. Like you can have some reptilian, you can have some Syrian, you can have some Palladian, you can have like a whole bunch of different DNA, because they started doing like this crossbreeding thing back a long, long time ago. It's like the same thing. It's like everything that you think of them doing to us, just think of us doing to dogs, because it's micro, macro. We are nothing but mutts to a lot of people. And we are kept in cages and other places too. We are animal, like we think that we're all hot shit. And, you know, like I saw this video. I thought it was kind of sad because it was this girl and she wasn't, you know, book attractive. You know, but I felt like she's kind of doing this. The way she's carrying her face, the way she's doing her hair, her attitude towards herself, it kind of shows that she's awkward and uncomfortable. Because I was thinking, you know, like, geez, girl, it looks like you have some really nice curly hair. Like, well, you could do a really cute hairstyle with that. But so her video is her kind of crying. And she's kind of like, I wouldn't say homely, but you know, she's not, you know, like beauty standard. I just don't get how people on social media think it's okay to go in and attack people like this. This is some bullshit. Go in and say mean things to people, especially like people who are not super attractive. Like you think they don't know that? Like, how fucking rude. God, fucking meanness in people. Fuck. But so she's asking in her video, please somebody tell me how to put on makeup. I want to be pretty. I know you guys keep telling me I'm so ugly, but I want to be pretty just like everybody else. Like, it's so fucking sad. And I kept thinking, you know, like, this is the thing too, is you gotta stop comparing yourself to like a beauty standard. You know, there's all sorts of different attractiveness. And, you know, there's a more common attractiveness, and then there's a more uncommon attractiveness. You can see the most, you know, absurd looking person and think that they are beautiful. Like, it doesn't matter. Like if you are strange looking, own it. Love it. That is where you're going to shine. You like loving yourself. You can't go in and fix every little feature, and you don't need to go into a doctor. It is, you're learning how to love that mess, love that assortment, turn it into something beautiful, you know, like I'm sure this girl, if she was going and smiling and she did her hair cute, she didn't have to put on a bunch of makeup, just if not having that pain in her eye. And, you know, she had like a small chin, like one of those really small chins. And, you know, I know some people get really uncomfortable about that and they'll go get chin implants and stuff like that. But I really think like, you know, there is a beauty in the unusual. The people who look more unusual, that doesn't mean that they're not attractive. They've got a certain attractiveness from their uniqueness that is like, wow, you know, they look different, you know, because there is like but also, you know, all the people who have like something like that, like a short chin, that's stuff that will be fixed in the med bed anyways. Like once we get in the med bed. But there's people who are saying like the med beds that are going right now, that's all we got, people. That's it. Stop thinking there's more. I think there's more. And right before I was seeing some of these videos, I saw the guy of Cosmic Disclosure talking. And he was talking about, it's not even just the med beds. He said that there's like fluid. And like say you are missing a finger, you just soak your hand in this fluid, your finger grows back. They've got all this technology. They've got all this stuff. They've been holding it back for them. We are going to get access to it. So it's confusing. Like, but there's a lot of people. I mean, even David Wilcock, he seems to be lost. There's a lot of people. So there's people who could be really, you know, going all in on the med beds, not realizing like there's an extra med bed. There's a med bed that is way beyond. And there's supposedly 3 different ones. There's one that is can fix your brain. And it can make you smarter. So you can go in, like I could go in and it does something to put it all back together. But it also can make you be able to retain more information, like it's a whole thing. And so there's one that does something with your brain, which I don't even know, you know, Some of the stuff seems like kind of creepy high tech, but anyways, there's some people who would really want that. I don't know. There's the one that will age you backwards, and that goes back like 25 years. So it's not like age you back. It's not like you go back in time 25 years. It's like your bodies, your cells, everything goes back to you're more healthy. So it's like your body goes back to a healthier state of 25 years ago. And then you have the one that grows back all your body parts. It might be a part of one of those, but I know that those three things happen. Like you can grow back your body parts and it heals everything. Like if you've got kidney disease, it heals it. If you've got liver disease, it cures it. Everything that is anything that is out of whack in your body, it will be cured. And then in these med beds that they are using, these ones are ones like you have to be in all the time. Like you can heal stuff, and we all need to get more into living like that. This is all about a lifestyle change, I think. It's just this completely looking and thinking differently about how you live. And I think that we should probably all have these med beds in our houses. Is probably what we should sleep in, is these things. And it keeps our vibration up. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to go on about that. If there's just going to be, they're getting a whole bunch of these med beds out everywhere because there will be such a huge amount of people that need to be healing, but not everybody is going to be able to be healed enough to go into, because even the quantum ones, the one I went into in Newport, like I talked about this back then, I'm pretty sure, but when I went into it, and we had an overnight thing, and so we had the place to ourselves. And but when you go in to talk to them and stuff, you have to go in, you have to set your intentions. This is all about you and your connection to the quantum, and you have to trust it to heal you. And so you think about like all these people who are barely, you got people who are out there promoting spirituality who don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. So we got all these people who are kind of lost in their connection to self, or their quantum connection to their spirit. This is like when I said before about like how our Wi-Fi to our spirit has been interfered with, and the quantum is like the connecting. It's like, well, we're going to put you on the quantum so you'll be able to hear your spirit well. And so that is your connection to your spirit, because you can heal, because you detach yourself from this concept of flesh and blood, then you can heal yourself. And so there seems to be that there will be, like, if they're going to be like all these med beds that are going to be available, because they're putting them up all over the place. So the Tesla ones, if these are not the military ones, because I feel certain that the military ones are going to be not just these ones. So I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to go down, because I don't think that everybody could, you wouldn't be as effective if you're disconnected from yourself to be able to go into the certain kind of med bed. I think you have to be connected to yourself. But even in the one, she had said, if you're not setting your intentions and believing in it and all that stuff, that you're wasting your time and your money. You have to connect to it and believe in it. So it's a quantum field of connection. And that is, it seems weird too, because when you think about like, this is where our money is going to be, like everything is going to be in this quantum field of connection, like how they have us now in this iCloud. And so anyways, there's going to be this shift. And I think that we're in this process of this shift. I think that is why everything keeps feeling so weird and disconnected. And there's way more people now who are saying, all these things that I've been saying, of feeling weird, feeling disconnected, feeling like you're in a dream and all that stuff. There's like way more people saying that stuff. Because all the stuff I say, I know I'm just a little bit ahead. That's all I was shown, was I was just ahead when my stuff started falling apart and I got my brain injury, started losing things. And it was just like, what the fuck? And that is when they were showing me, this is what we're going, this is a time of change. We're going into this, and this is going to happen for everybody. And so then I started paying attention and seeing like, oh, so this happens to me, and then watch, it happens to them and them. And it's like, is just, we're all on different steps. Like this is like I said, like that one thing with the long, long staircase. We're all on this long, long staircase, and we're all on different steps. You know, I'm just up towards the front of the thing because it started earlier to me. And but you know, there's other people that it started. It's like I'm not the only one. It's not just me by myself. Like there's a whole, it was like a wave. There's been these waves that have come in. But the wave that is going to go on this next awakening part, this is going to be like a tsunami. This is the storm. This is the flood. This is the thing that changes everything. So that is the event that we are, you know, and I don't know what it's going to be, but the event that is going to occur is going to change everything in our world. It's going to change people's attitude. It's going to change, you know, it's a much needed change. I just don't know what it is. There's just so many things. There's so much, you know, there's so many balls in the air that any of them can go. And it's going to all go together. Like it's going to be domino effect. It's going to be one thing is going to lead to another, to another, to another. But there's going to be certain ones where people will be, like I can see people going along, but then all of a sudden it gets to like a certain part and they reject it. Like it gets to religion. Religion starts falling apart and they're like, no, no. They said that this was going to happen. They said that, you know, God, Jesus, like they've got it so in people's minds that is going to be so hard of a program to stop running. So anyways, that you know, we just have to really I think have mercy as we look around to everybody, what they're going through and stuff, and just have as much mercy as possible of what everybody's going through, because whatever it is right now, it's very awkward. It's like everybody's half dressed. And there's a lot of people who really are half dressed. It's like, come on. What are, when are you going to start feeling like you need to have self-respect? And so anyways, but we've got all this purging of all this energy, and there's so much darkness that I think that gives some people, well, you know, I'm not that bad. Well, I don't do that, so I'm not that bad. It's like, well, you still got to look at yourself. You can't just sit there and think, well, they're way worse. So no, you got to be looking at yourself. This is super important for everybody to look at themselves and to heal whatever it is that you see, to quit thinking that it's everybody else's fault why you feel the way you feel, and to start recognizing that the journey to feeling better is the journey you put on yourself to come here and face yourself so that you can release all of the things that hold you down, that hold you back, because this whole three-dimensional paradigm is what holds you back. Is where like fucking David Wilcock, like he should have complete understanding of spiritual, dimensional, and stuff like that. And why is he in fear right now? Like there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. Even if you are going to be leaving in some big disaster, you're going to be happy once you're out. You're going to be like, oh, hell yeah, now I'm home. Now I've got choices. You know, and it's going to be better. There's nothing to fear. I promise. There's nothing to fear through this whole thing that we're going through, even though there's going to be things that are going to be super scary, but that is where you got to really get yourself into observation. Same thing as like when you're watching a movie. Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, oh man, and as much as you can absorb yourself into that movie is how much you can feel the impact. But on this case, you need to keep detaching from the impact so that you can just stay in the observation, so that you can witness and watch, so that you're not so emotionally being whipped around by what they have going on. Because if you are, it's up to you to get control of yourself and to see and to recognize. And to me, all the answers are right there. When you connect to yourself, your higher self will give you information. It will tell you, it will keep you, you know, and you're always where you need to be. There's nowhere you need to be. And everything is like developing itself. There's nothing you need to do. The day is planned. When you get up, this day is planned. The day is going to happen exactly the way it's going to happen. There's nothing you need to stress out about. You just need to go along with the day and allow the day to formulate. And then anything that triggers you, to try and understand what it is inside of you that you need to release. So anyways, and throughout the whole thing, you got to remember to love yourself, to love everyone, and have a loving day. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.